Today on Around Kansas, Deb reflects back on the Midwest influence in Washington this week in 1953. Next, she pays tribute to Kansas Game Wardens. On the Front Porch, our guest is Mark Lucas. Ron Wilson is back with a fun poem on average. And we end with Michelle Martin and the history of Constitution Hall in Historic Lecompton.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Deb Goodrich. Welcome to Around Kansas. It's really great to have you with us this morning. I hope your 2020 is going well. Here we are in the roaring 20s. So let's have a good party and try to be smarter than the folks back in the 1920s were. You know, they were headed for a big fall after the big party. So let's see if we can't learn from a few of those mistakes and do better, unlike most people in history. Well, history nerd that I am, I was looking back at what would have happened on this date had we been living, say, a few hundred years ago. 1559, Queen Elizabeth I was crowned queen at Westminster Abbey. Now, I had the good fortune to visit Westminster Abbey a few years ago and to walk in the places where those famous people walked, and that was really, really something. I actually got to share that with my granddaughter, which made it even more special. But the really special thing, of course, about Westminster Abbey is all the folks that are entombed there. Elizabeth herself is entombed at Westminster Abbey, and then Mary Queen of Scots, Sir Isaac Newton, it just goes on and on. And as I was walking across the floor, there underneath my feet, Lawrence of Arabia. Oh my gosh, does it get any better than that? Not really. It was like nirvana. But a few miles closer to home on this day in history, we had the great good fortune, of course, of having Harry Truman in office. And Harry from Missouri, just across the way, was the first president to use radio and television to say goodbye to the country. Now, of course, when he was moving out, Ike, the boy from Kansas, was moving in. So the Midwest really had the market cornered on leadership there for several years. So, of course, the relationship between newspaper and other forms of media had really been something before that. But with the advent of television and radio, with that broadcast media into presidential politics, well, you all know the rest of the story, don't you? Hasn't that been quite the trip? So, Harry started it all on this date in 1953. So it's a real good time to go back and look into a little presidential politics. You know, pick up a book. If you haven't visited, go over and visit Harry's home in Independence, Missouri. It is a fabulous library and museum. And of course, Abilene, we have the Presidential Library for Ike, for Dwight D. Eisenhower here in Kansas. And they have done some remodeling, and that is pretty fantastic. Valuable lessons to be learned from these men and their times. So take a little time and check those out. Hey, we've got a great show for you today, so stay with us.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call. We can discuss. 316-945-6733.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
On our wildlife segment this morning, we would like to salute the men and women of the Kansas Department of Wildlife Parks and Tourism who serve as our game wardens. And that's kind of a dangerous job, and you got to have quite an impressive set of skills to pull it off. You're law enforcement, and you're also protecting our resources, protecting us while we're taking advantage of those resources. And this department actually celebrates 125 years of service this year. So thank a game warden next time you're out and about, and make sure you got your license on you to hunt or fish. And while you're at it, take a look at this video. The department actually produced this as a recruitment video, but it's a fantastic overview of the jobs that these men and women do.
Our friends at Jones Hewitt Partners produced this outstanding segment.
So we think you'll enjoy seeing this.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer, your host today. My guest is Dr. Mark Lucas. He is the music director at Bethany College in Lindsborg, Kansas. We'll be talking about the long, strong tradition of the choir at Bethany College. The Handel's Messiah started in 1881, and that, we had wars through that time. We had change in populations and natural weather events. And has it evolved, or has it really pretty much stayed the same through all of those things?
It's actually, people think that it has been the same, but if you look back at old programs, and I'm a fan, I'm a kind of a history buff, and I enjoy finding out about the history of the Oratorio Society and of the performances. So people bring me programs. I recently got a program from 1905, I think, and they used to do, you'd be surprised, well, let me back up and say, when I went to graduate school, and I told people that we did Handel's Messiah on Easter and Bach's St. Matthew's Passion 2 days before that, they thought I was crazy. Why 2 major choral orchestral works within 2 days? That's insane. And I didn't realize it was any big deal because I just grew up with it. But if you look back at the programs, they used to even do, I think some years they did Mendelssohn's Elijah on the Wednesday. So they would do Messiah on Palm Sunday, Mendelssohn's Elijah on Wednesday, Bach on Friday, and Messiah again on Sunday. And these are major undertakings. Did their part to advance choral music around here.
But Oratorio Society, those people a lot of them had been in it for a very long time, so you just had a few new people every year.
Yeah, and actually, there are a lot of people who have sung for many years. Each year at the beginning rehearsal, we play a little game where we have people stand if they've sung for so many years, and then remain standing as we the years go up. There's at least one member who's sung for 57 years, and there's a handful of people that are over 50 years, and probably a dozen more that are 40 or more years. What's both good and bad is that probably over half of the ensemble, the singers right now, have only been singing for 5 years or less. So that's good because we're getting new blood. But, we also want people to continue. So,
if there's 250 in the choir, then how many of those would be college students at Bethany?
Around 50. Our college choir is a 52-voice audition group that we just got back from tour Colorado, and as I mentioned previously, we went to Germany and Sweden last year.
You mentioned in one of the prior segments that they would take the show on the road, so to speak, with hay racks. And you mentioned you going to Sweden and Germany with the choir. When did the choir start to travel?
Well, that first year in 1881 is when they went. I think they had 5 performances. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure they had 5 performances all within Holy Week at various towns. I know that they went to either Salemsburg or all Inner maybe all three, then Lindsborg. There's a long history of travel, actually. In fact, I mentioned previously Dr. Joel Pansiera, who helped me. I wasn't one of his students, but he was very nice when I was out teaching, and he took the entire show to Carnegie Hall in the 2000s. So, and other performances, I actually remember going during Dr. Elmer Copley's last year. We performed in Kansas City at Memorial Auditorium, and that wasn't the first time that they'd performed there. Excuse me. In fact, an interesting story, I met an alum on our recent choir tour. Dean Arnold is his name, and he said, I sang Messiah in 42 through 44. Then I took a couple years off to go to the war, and then I came back and sang again. He said that he hitched a ride to Kansas City so that he could sing Messiah in Memorial Hall in 1946.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer and work with you.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare Supplement insurance plans. With Medicare Supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare Supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Economics has been called the dismal science, kind of like the economist who's forecast 10 of the last 5 recessions. I have a lot of friends who are ag economists, and they know that making forecasts is a very risky proposition. One friend of mine says, give them a date or give them a number, but never give them both. When you study economics, you come across, of course, the law of averages, and this poem is called On Average. 2 economists were sitting in a small duck blind, peering across the field where the moonlight shined. These economists' job was to calculate various economic factors all across the state. They were widely known experts who knew economic measures so well that they were considered academic treasures. But they took a break from the numbers front to take part in this annual morning duck hunt. It was quiet all around this field as they waited for trophies that their hunt would yield. Then first light came on this cool gray day, and they heard a lone duck as he flew their way. Both economists fired as the duck flew by. One shot 5 feet low, the other 5 feet high. As the duck flew away, one economist said, well, on average, that darn duck is dead. Happy trails.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Supply. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Our favorite Kansas historian in exile is with us this morning. Michelle Martin is coming to us from Arizona with a story about one of my favorite places in Kansas and hers too. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Deb. From time to time, I want to use my historical adventure segments on this show to introduce our viewers to some of Kansas's incredible historic sites and structures. Today, we're going to take a trip to the community of Lecompton and Constitution Hall.
With the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in May 1854, settlers began streaming into Kansas territory. People from all parts of the northern, eastern, and southern United States made their way to Kansas to settle and vote in territorial elections to decide the fate of the new territory. Would Kansas be a free or slave state? Among the settlers who trekked to Kansas was Samuel Jefferson Jones, a Virginia native and entrepreneur. A pro-slavery advocate, Jones was active in Kansas territorial politics. He was appointed sheriff of Douglas County by Governor Daniel Woodson in 1855. From 1855 to 1861, the community of Lecompton, formerly known as Bald Eagle, served as the territorial capital of Kansas Territory. Located near the Kaw River, the community was an ideal location for settlers given the rich land, access to river transportation, and its status as the territorial capital. In 1856, the enterprising Jones constructed a multi-story wood frame structure in Lecompton and rented its rooms to various organizations. This building would come to be known as Constitution Hall. During the tumultuous debate of Kansas's entry into the Union, Constitution Hall was one of the busiest places in the territory. The first floor of the hall housed the United States Federal Land Office. Settlers eager to stake their claims to land in the territory registered their claims here. The territorial legislature used the second floor of Constitution Hall as its meeting place in 1857. Here, legislators drafted and debated the Lecompton Constitution, which called for Kansas to enter the Union as a slave state. In addition, Constitution Hall's second floor was also home to the district court, which met occasionally to enforce territorial laws and hear cases brought before the bench. When Free State forces, led by Charles Robinson and James Henry Lane, assumed legislative control of the territory in the fall of 1857, Constitution Hall once again played host to the legislature. However, given the building's connection to the pro-slavery faction, the legislature moved its meetings to the Free State stronghold of Lawrence in 1858. With Kansas's entry into the Union in 1861, Constitution Hall took on new tenants and functions in the community. Freemasons, Oddfellows, the Rebecca Lodge, and the Grand Army of the Republic all used Constitution Hall as a meeting place. The building also housed a hotel, dry goods store, undertaker's parlor, telephone office, public polling station, and community assembly hall. Sadly, by the 1970s, the oldest wooden structure in Kansas was showing her age. In 1974, Constitution Hall was designated a national landmark, and through the tireless efforts of community historians like Paul Bonmeyer and legislators Wint Winter and Frank Gaines, Constitution Hall was gifted to the Kansas Historical Society. After extensive restoration, the site opened to the public and is a focal point of community pride. Constitution Hall is a touchstone to the past where visitors can stand where history was made. The first floor features a federal land office exhibit, and the wooden candle box stuffed with fraudulent election ballots in favor of the Lecompton Constitution is on display. The second floor serves as a meeting space where educational programs, like the Bleeding Kansas Lecture Series, are presented for the public. The Lecompton Reenactors, a volunteer living history organization, help bring the men and women of Lecompton's and Constitution Hall's past to life at the site.
Today, Constitution Hall is a state historic site operated by the Kansas Historical Society and site administrator Tim Ruiz. On occasion, Tim can be found shouting defiance from the front porch of Constitution Hall, much like Jim Lane did so many years ago. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to our next historical adventure somewhere around Kansas.
Well, happy Wednesday morning. As always, we appreciate your sharing part of your day with us, and we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.